Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Senator Anyim Pius Anyim is our guest tonight. He's former Secretary to the Government of the Federation under the government of President Goodluck Jonathan, and also former Senate President from the year 2000 to 2003. You have picked a nomination form, and it was seen that zoning, because you've talked about how you refuse for anything to limit you.
Yes.
But we've noticed that every time that you have come up, in many positions as President of the Senate, at that time, the President of the Senate was zoned to the Southeast, SGF of the Federation. I'm not certain how that came about. I don't know if zoning had a role to play in that, but I do know that oftentimes, usually in this consideration, zoning comes to play a role. Your party set up a committee to look at zoning for its presidential ticket. So far, so good. It's not yet clear, because when they came out to brief the press, they didn't say in clear terms what they have decided. They said they were going to brief NEC. But from what we gathered behind the scene, it was that the party has thrown open the ticket. Do you think that this jeopardizes your chances now that you have shown interest in the #1 seat?
Well, as a person, I would say no. But for the system, I will have some concerns. But take it from me, I stand by whatever decision my party takes as a true party man. But I know that in the constitution of PDP, zoning and rotation is a fundamental principle. And it's clearly defined that the political offices, elective offices, and party offices should be zoned north, south, on the basis of north-south. And we had done the first one, which was zoning the party offices. And it was zoned north-south. So the only concern I will have is that, one, as a person, I don't feel anyhow about it. But the only concern I have is that democracy is a system of rule and order. And because it's a system of rules and order, it thrives on three certainties. And these three certainties are fundamental. Democracy thrives on certainty of tenure, certainty of structure, certainty of process. The moment you breach the process, you are actually bringing down that system. The moment you breach, the moment the structure is not certain, you are actually fighting that system. Somebody may benefit from it, but it's a system that you're killing.
It was saying that there's been a debate. Listening to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, he says that that zoning must work within the party. Zoning is limited to the party. There are those who have argued that no, zoning cannot be limited to the party. It has to take into cognizance the entire country. That the president who is currently in office, even though is not of the PDP, is from the north, and as such, the candidate should come from the south. But the argument. Sir, one moment. The argument of Vice President Abubakar is that the last person who held position within the party was from the south. I mean, as president, was from the south, and as such, it should go back to the north.
If zoning should be within the party, the last election we ran was in 2019. The party came out clearly to zone to the north, and nobody from the south ran. So, acting within the party, the last was to the north, the next should be to the south. Simple.
But the northern candidate did not win.
Must you win? Is it, must you win? You must not win.
Why did the party zone to the north last time?
Because they opened the system, the circumstances at the time, and it was the turn of the north. And return to the north. So
this time around, you are arguing that it is the turn of the south.
Sure.
Regardless of whether or not a southern president wins, are you saying that the next time, because we also know that there is this two-term thing. Usually, if one person is able to take it, there is usually that respect. The ticket is usually offered to the incumbent. So for the sake of argument...
Yeah, we are not talking about the tenure. So, because you merge rotation with the constitutional provision, the Constitution allows a candidate to run for 2 terms.
Indeed.
So if you are to run for 2 terms constitutionally, the rotation applies after you are 2 tenure. And let us also be conscious of the fact that we are all part of this system. In 2015, it is largely argued, and maybe rightly so, that PDP lost the election because it was the turn of the North and it didn't return to the North. And everybody across board now rose to it. And the president then, in his good nature, realizing in the interest of the country that if that was a mistake, okay, I'm not going to quarrel over it. And he congratulated the next president. Everybody, including in our party, was conscious of the fact that it was the turn of the North.
Let me take you up on this issue of corruption.
Go ahead.
There have been questions as to how you also managed the office of the SGF of the Federation while you headed the Centenary City project, which was supposed to mark Nigeria's 100 years of being an amalgamated nation. Right now, we understand that there are questions about investigations from the EFCC, land grabbing, etc. How do you respond to some of these allegations that have found its way into the public space?
As an experienced person, there are certain things you don't say, even if you hear by the roadside. Land grabbing in FCT. For God's sake. It's only FCT minister that can allocate land under a certificate of occupancy. So what is land grabbing? Putting that by the side, the issue of centenary celebration was a government policy. And what I brought to bear, proudly so, was the time the project was conceived. And I walked up to the president and I told the president, we can run this project at no cost to the government.
How was it funded?
Of course, private sector. The president, we made a proposal to him which he agreed, and we hosted all business leaders in the country to a dinner and told them, this is the centenary celebration, this is the program, these are the opportunities in it, these ones are part of the program, these ones are opportunities that can endure, that they should support it. And people did. And that's how we funded all the centenary programs. Now, the legacy program was the Centenary City. And the Centenary City didn't just come as an interest or as a business. Centenary City came because within the period we reviewed Abuja. And Abuja Master Plan had no room for recreation. It had no room for entertainment. It had no room for leisure. It was planned for less than 1 million population, just as an administrative city. We reviewed the Dubai example. I went to Dubai myself. And with the man who did Dubai, flew Dubai street by street. We reviewed Canary Wharf development in East London. It's a private development. And by the time we reviewed all this, we now got the man who did Dubai to agree to do Centenary for Abuja. He visited, met with the president, met with all of us. We now agreed that we should give him land, we should make sure it's a free zone, then all local issues should be taken away from them. They will bring their money, do the design, develop the city, sell, recover. Eventually, the project didn't go far before we left office. And when we left office, the new government thought that, yes, we were just telling lies, that government money was cornered to it. Go and look at it now. So there's no investigation that has not been carried about centenaries. In fact, the land grabbing you talked about, the first they said was that the land of the people were not paid compensation. And by the time they got into it, they couldn't help it because the compensation on Centenary City was done by FCT. When it was time to pay compensation, the management of the place asked FCT, use your standard, do the evaluation, do the enumeration, get us the estimate. We will give you, then you go and pay them. They did, sent in a letter. After they have done the enumeration, captured their biometrics, their pictures, documented, then got the estimate on everything about it, and now communicated in writing to the centenary management and put an account, FCT account, where the money should be paid to. And the money moved from the centenary city account to FCT, and FCT paid them. Then these things are straight. So when people talk about this...
So were you surprised at the allegations that came out of it?
We changed the government, and that's all. Government changed, that's all. And it's not me, I didn't lose anything, it's the nation that lost. That would have been a high point in the development history of Africa that would have just cited here at no cost to anybody.
Well, Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you, Bombay.
That's the program tonight, but share your thoughts on what you've just heard and what you make of the political season, which is currently coming up, and in many aspirants which are currently showing up. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf. Good night.